This is Point of View, celebrating a world record-breaking 62 years of quality public affairs programs from the studios of WDEF News 12, Chattanooga. Hello, I'm Maurice Lewis, and welcome to Point of View. One of my favorite comedians says that her checking account could not possibly be overdrawn because she still has checks left. Well, that might work on a comedy routine, but it doesn't work really well when you're talking about taxpayer money and politics. And with me to join and talk with a discussion about paying as you go and having the money for the things that you want, Senator Bo Watson, thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to Point of View.
It's a pleasure to be here.
What about this idea, I still have checks left, so I can't possibly be overdrawn?
Yeah, we don't run that way in Tennessee. We're almost a cash and carry state, really. Road projects like the one that's going on right now in downtown Chattanooga, already paid for. One that's going on out in East Brainerd, already paid for. The one going on in Appleton, already paid for. So much of our infrastructure, as a matter of fact, all of our transportation infrastructure, Tennesseans pay for it before they spend it. We don't go into debt. We just passed a $34.9 billion state budget about a month ago. Zero debt included in the budget. We are the least indebted state per capita of any state in the country. To give you an example, Texas has about $20 billion of road debt. Tennessee's road debt, zero. What does that mean to taxpayers?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Yeah, what does it mean?
Everybody wants to know, what does it mean to us?
It means that we're a AAA rated state. Just last week, the Comptroller of the Treasury announced to the state that Standard & Poor's had upgraded our rating to AAA. It's only the second time in the state's history that we've been there. And it means that when we do need to borrow money, we can get it really cheaply. And it means that when we refinance loans that we have now, we can refinance it less expensively. All that means to the taxpayers is that they have to pay less for the money that we use.
Does that put you in a stronger position in terms of contract negotiations?
Well, certainly it puts us in a great position with any kind of negotiation. When you have that kind of credit rating, when you have that kind of cash, we're doing about $355 million of capital projects this year, all paid right out of our wallet, not writing a single check for it.
You chair and are part of three very important committees: Finance, Health, and Commerce. So you get an opportunity to see how the money's coming in, how it's going out, and the oversight that goes into it.
Right. Well, there's probably not another state in the union that looks at its wallet more closely than Tennesseans do in the Tennessee General Assembly. Let me give you an analogy. Tennessee is like a middle class, lower middle class state. I mean, our average family income is about $45,000 per year. That's not a lot of money. That's why we don't have a lot of tax burden on our citizens, because they don't make a lot of money. If you take anything from them, you hurt them individually. So because we're a middle-class family, just like any middle-class family, we may drive a really nice Ford, but we don't drive a Mercedes. But that Ford gets us from point A to point B.
And you don't seem to want to trade the Ford every year in order to get a new one.
We don't. And we watch our checkbook very closely. That's one of the great things about being in Tennessee. Now, there are other states that do things differently. That's one of the beauties of this country, is there are 50 different states that do things 50 different ways, quite honestly. And the way our Constitution was drafted, citizens can move between states to find the one that best fits them. A perfect contrast to where we are in Tennessee would be the territory of Puerto Rico, which everyone knows is in financial calamity.
Well, it is a financial mess,
right.
And there's no appetite to bail them out.
Well, and there are some reasons for that. There's a really good article in this morning's paper, as a matter of fact, about that. I would encourage your listeners to look at that. But the bottom line is that Tennessee manages its money very effectively and very efficiently because we don't ask a lot of our citizens, and they expect us to use their money wisely, and I think we do that.
Well, in part, the contrast might be, too, there are some citizens who say you're kind of stingy on some things.
Yeah, that would be a fair statement.
Okay.
I mean, we are, you would say we're thrifty.
Well, that's the Scottish, the Scottish part that's coming out, the thrifty and the savings. You do have a lot that's going on here. You mentioned road construction. There's $8 billion or so that's in pipelines.
Sure. I mean, we have a backlog of about $6 billion,
yeah, exactly.
And that's one of the challenges that we're trying to figure out now is because infrastructure, I mean, Tennessee's history is we have been a logistical transportation hub, even all the way back to the Civil War. And how do we capitalize on that, use it for economic development purposes? And one way is the transportation grid that we've constructed in Tennessee. How do we keep improving upon it? How do we maintain it under current economic conditions? And that means we have to always look at how we're financing these things to make sure that we're funding them adequately.
With such a keen focus on transportation, because it does drive industry, it does drive business, it does drive growth. I was surprised when I moved here to find out that this is one of the few cities where you cannot get a train to go anywhere.
Yeah, somewhere along the way we missed out on the rail
Yeah, and
service.
to get, highways are very important, but you can put a lot more people in the train than you can.
You can, but there are some challenges geographically and just the topography of East Tennessee that's unique to East Tennessee. That's, Tennessee has 3 stars on its flag for good reason. There are 3 different grand divisions.
We want to hear more about that.
Each of them are different, and the people in them are different. But
Right.
East Tennessee is a mountainous, hilly area. And so some of the infrastructure transportation here is a little bit more difficult, a little bit more expensive because of the topography.
Then
You
say
get out
like the
into
Rocky Mountains and places like that?
Or you get out into West Tennessee, which is Delta country, and it's a lot easier to have mass transportation. Thus, you have Amtrak that moves through Memphis, doesn't move through Chattanooga or through the eastern part of the state because the costs are, the difference in construction are so different.
I think one of the other reasons that I've been hearing a lot is that people say that freight moves regularly, but in order for commerce to move, freight has to give way, and that's not happening.
Right. Well, and of course the railroads are great engines, no pun intended, of commerce, but they're also very independent. I mean, if you look back at
They own the rails. I mean,
that's correct.
That's part of the problem.
That's correct. If you look back at the origins of north, south, east, west rail transportation, it was Congress granted a lot of independence to the railroads, and they hold on to that independence very preciously.
Thinking of what's precious, you have a good reputation. You've earned it as a state representative, and now you're in the Senate.
Well, thank you, Maurice. We don't get to hear that very often in our line of
I've
business.
not heard anything about your political aspirations for a higher office, but as you look at the landscape, especially on the national level, are you proud of what you see in terms of the integrity or lack of integrity that seems to be seeping into the political landscape?
I don't know, Maurice. You're probably a good student of political history.
Don't put this back on me. I just asked you that question.
This is we go through cycles in this country. I mean, if you were to look at the election of 1800, it's long been considered the worst election of all time between Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, and they insulted each other. They used the medium that they had there, which was newspapers and bulletins that they posted up, to insult each other on a regular basis. Both of them stretched the truth. I mean, those things about politics are true today. We're in one of those cycles where the country is fairly polarized, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, here's what that kind of tells me as an American citizen. The country is struggling with a lot of different issues right now. And in that struggle, you get the battlefield of ideas. And
Change and choice.
Change and choice, and that's where, and so would I like things to be smoother and kinder and simpler? Sure. And everybody romanticizes about the past and believes that that's how the past was.
But
if
you
go
hear
back
that statement,
to,
let's make America great again. I mean, which period are you talking about?
When were we not great? I mean,
We've always been great.
Yeah, I mean, but that's part of politics. But it's also part of the environment that you work in. I mean, let's be honest with each other. Radio changed politics. Television changed politics.
Well, yeah,
and
look
now
at
the
Kennedy
internet,
and Nixon.
Sure,
What happened
yeah.
there? If you listen to the radio, one guy won, but if you saw the other guy on television, he won.
Exactly.
So that's
and
it.
now we have the electronic medium, and we're all trying to figure out how do we use it, and it's changing how politics operates.
One of the things that's a constant and it doesn't change, and that's the clock. We have completely run out of time just as we were getting ready to roll. You must come back with us again and be a fixture here on the show.
My pleasure.
Thank
Love
you very
to.
much.
Thank you.
Senator Bo Watson. The show is called Point of View. Stay with us, you know, like we have something else coming up for you. The young and up and coming, who are they listening to, where are they going, and what are they doing? Point of View continues momentarily.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Join us for Point of View, weekends on News 12 Now and Bounce Chattanooga.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Thank you very much for staying with us here on Point of View. I'm Maurice Lewis, and the show is full of surprises, as you will see as we go along. In the previous segment, we thank Senator Bo Watson for being with us. Guess what? I've asked him to stay for a very good reason, because we're talking about something that all of Chattanooga and the nearby communities really relish. It's something that's called Nightfall. And all of the vendors and the magic that happens, someone has to put it together, and this is the chief cook and bottle washer. Kat, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks so much
Tell
for
us a
having
little
me.
bit about Nightfall.
Absolutely. So a Nightfall concert series is a free every Friday during
Magic
the summer.
word, free.
Absolutely.
I love that one.
Absolutely. Chattanooga is home to numerous cultural offerings, and when you can put free in front of it, it gets even better. It has actually been in existence for about 28 years, so it's no short of its history. We've seen everybody from Alison Krauss, and Bare Naked Ladies, a lot of these, that started off a little bit smaller in Chattanooga and then kind of rose to fame throughout the years, throughout its 28 years of Nightfall history. So we're very excited to be already a month into Nightfall right now.
And what I like about it, Senator, it's a family affair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm from Chattanooga, born and raised here. Hadn't made much progress. I'm still living here all these years later, and Nightfall it's a mainstay of our downtown.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, looking at what's happening right now, give us a little thumbnail of what's happening now, and what can we look forward to for the remainder of this season?
Sure. Well, we actually, I know that we will be doing this particular episode on Saturday, so we will have seen on Friday the previous Nightfall Road to Nightfall winner, which is a contest winner with Gig City Productions, who it's a lot of different bands that actually compete for their own headlining opportunity at Nightfall, and that belongs to Knit Let's Go, who will be with us on June the 3rd. And we'll actually take 2 weeks off because of Riverbend in order not
Which is
to really
another
compete.
huge
A huge
development. Everybody
undertaking,
comes from
absolutely.
everywhere.
So
Right.
we'll be off June 10th and 17th. But we have headliners normally from all over the globe. We've got one coming up when we come back, let's see, on the 24th. Called Hope Country from St. Paul, Minneapolis. And then we have a great local opener, and I've got to look actually at my note because I always mispronounce his name. Jesse Jugheard.
You know what? That's what I love about
I
you.
know.
You are nothing but real.
Oh,
okay?
I will
you
get
are
this
just
wrong.
real.
So let me just
okay?
tell you right now, Jesse Jugheard and the Patron Haints. And he's an individual, his particular band is right here from Chattanooga, and they'll be opening. And so the openers go for about 1 hour, starting at 7 p.m. on Friday, and then you've got a 90-minute set from a headliner.
You know, it's an opportunity because not only do people come bring picnic baskets, the whole family, a lot of motorcyclists come because it's a chance to show off your iron. A lot of people with cars come down and they park. I mean, so it's a little bit of everything that happens in
Absolutely.
addition to the music and food.
Correct. And this year, actually, we're doing something new with the Bessie Smith Cultural Center. The first Friday of every single month, we sort of join, we kind of spread our footprint, so to speak, and we joined the Bessie Smith Cultural Center, who has a block party beginning at 5. And so we extend some of our vendors, Martin Luther King going all the way down to Bessie Smith, and then they have sort of their own, some of their own vendors and programming out on their lawn, and then the families and everyone can kind of make their way
It's
to
a nice
us.
blend.
Absolutely, and they kind of make our way down to Miller Plaza.
When you look at, from the state viewpoint, you serve on finance, health, and commerce committees. But cities and towns need entertainment. I mean, it's the lifeblood that brings people together. It's part of the fabric that makes Chattanooga this destination where people want to come, not just to visit, because it's not just a gateway to Atlanta or a gateway to Nashville, but to come and stay here. So having the state monies come in to help projects that keep this alive is very important, I would say.
Well, we commit a lot to tourism. I mean, it's one of our largest industries, and whether it's the blues in Memphis, country in Nashville, or the Appalachian sounds of East Tennessee, I mean, these are all things that Tennessee highlights. And it's one of the things that makes our state unique. I've referenced earlier the 3 stars on our flag representing the 3 distinct people who live in the 3 distinct regions of the state. The music's different as well. The entertainment's different as well. And so, Chattanooga is just, as a native, it's just amazing to see what the city has done for itself. And this is part of that growth of our city, and it's part of what brings people in to visit our state, and then make them look at our city and say, this is a place I'd like to stay. And all of the things that we're now offering, from cultural things such as the arts or music, to all the way to the technology that the city now has. Tennessee and Chattanooga are in a great place for a great future, and everyone's committed to trying to build that.
Nightfall is 20-odd years old. How amazed are you that this thing has been able to grow to the point where it is?
I mean, every time, I've worked for different local entities that produce, a plethora of different events here in Chattanooga. And the staying power of Nightfall just continually amazes me. I mean, the sort of the skill set of people that takes to mount this event, not just myself, but Carla Pritchard and Ann Ball, who oversee Chattanooga Presents, which produces Nightfall, and Three Sisters Bluegrass Festival, Pops on the River, a number of Chattanooga events. The fact that Nightfall has really sort of kind of ingrained itself.
It's found its niche, it seems
it definitely
like.
has. It's a very common thread.
Right.
There's really not a cross-section of the community that you won't see enjoying Nightfall. So that's wonderful to see right there in the heart of the city center.
And it's good to have one of the guys who has his finger on the financial pulse of the state, to kind of say, don't forget about us, because we need all the financial support and also the political clout that it takes to keep this thing rolling.
Well, that's true, but I mean, Nightfall, its age would indicate to anyone that it's been able to withstand a lot of changes within the city. I mean, when Nightfall first started, there weren't a lot of people who wanted to hang out downtown. And, now everybody wants to hang out downtown. Everybody wants to live downtown. So, Nightfall stands on its own. I mean, certainly the state and what we do in the state has an impact on everything that we do in Tennessee. But programs like Nightfall, Pops in the Park, those kind of things, they stand on their own credibility. They take what we give them, but they don't need us. They do their own thing.
Well, Kat, we want to thank you very much for managing all of the vendors and getting them to come here to provide
pleasure.
the kind of entertainment that makes this city so great. Senator Watson, thank you once again for sticking with us for another segment. Now, stay with us. Point of view. We're talking about a step ahead. What does that connotate to you? Find out in just a couple of minutes.
You're doing great. We're going to try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center, keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, button the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep
pedaling. Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steer into the corners when you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, you ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
Hello and welcome back. It's Point of View. I'm Maurice Lewis. As I said earlier in the segment, you never know who's going to drop into the show here. Well, our senior producer, Nayara Cancel, is joining us. Nayara, welcome.
How are you,
You know,
Maurice?
I know your mom is here from Puerto Rico, and it's an opportunity for her to see her daughter sparkle.
Absolutely. We have a very special guest. My mom's visiting me this week, so I'm very excited to have her. And she's behind the scenes. She didn't want to come in front of the scenes, which is fine. But we do have Rachel Scholson with us today from Step Ahead, and we're really delighted to have you. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. Why are you here? We talk about pregnancies and making people aware. It's that icky subject that nobody wants to talk about. How do you de-ickify it?
We always say we like to un-ick it because we really feel like it's something people need to talk about, because when you have a county where half of the pregnancies are unintended, you really want to be talking about that and helping women get a step ahead by planning their pregnancy so they can plan their future. And that is our mission, actually, of a Step Ahead Foundation Chattanooga.
And these are not just for single people, correct?
No, married women, for any woman that's in a relationship who wants to be planning her pregnancies. It's a way of getting ahead, staying on the path to success, whether it's in her education, her career, whatever she's planning. If pregnancy planning is not part of that, then she's not really looking to the future.
You would think that this is something that people would just take for granted, that women know what to do. Okay, you just think that, well, doesn't everybody, and that guys know what to do. Well, we know there are some guys out there that don't even know how to use a condom. You don't blow it up to see if it works first.
Right.
So,
Right, and you don't double them, which some people think twice as good is better.
Exactly.
Yes.
But what's the importance, you and I had an opportunity to hear a presentation earlier today.
Yes, we heard you speak earlier today.
Yes.
So please tell us, what are the contraceptives or the forms of birth control that you do sponsor?
Right. So what we do is we make sure that women have education about IUDs, which are intrauterine devices, and the implant that goes in the arm, in the underside of the arm. And all the devices that we talk about and educate about and also fund last 3, 5, or 10 years. And those are known by brand names Nexplanon, Mirena, Paragard, Skyla, and these are ones that can be, you have to make a conscious decision to have them removed. You get them through medical professionals, and then you have to have them removed, versus something like the pill where you just might forget to take it and then get pregnant.
So all of it is reversible birth
Absolutely,
control?
100% reversible, but long term. And by calling a number 423-265-STEP, somebody gets connected with a partner clinic. We provide free transportation to get them there, and then when they go to one of our partner clinics, they can have it inserted. It could be removed, as I say, at any time, and then they're effectively covered so that they can go ahead and pursue their dreams, whether it's to go to school, get training. Sorry.
The important things is that you mentioned that this is planning. This is not abortion. It has nothing to do with that at all.
No, absolutely not. In fact, it reduces abortions when women can plan their pregnancies. If they're pregnant by choice, they're less likely to ever be thinking about ending a pregnancy.
And do you sponsor abortions or the morning after pill?
No, we don't get involved with anything. We're only about prevention only, which is why we've gotten such broad-based community support, because we really are a centrist organization. We don't get involved in anything. It's about prevention only.
Who really benefits most from the information that you guys are trying to get out?
Yeah. Well, really, even though we say that it's half of pregnancies in Hamilton County, typically there's a lot of healthcare disparities, so that really it's mostly minority women. It's 5 times more among minority women, because it's because of a lack of access. These are expensive methods. By removing any cost barriers, we pay for whatever is not covered by other means, whether that's insurance, a lack of insurance. If somebody's uninsured, we pay everything. TennCare covers these methods, but or if somebody's uninsured, as I said, we pay for them, or underinsured, we'll pay the difference. So it's really the people that don't have the access or the knowledge about the methods. So a lot of ours is education.
Do they have to go through an application process?
No, they do not. They just fill out a one-page form at one of our partner clinics. There'll be some paperwork for the clinic, of course, but for us, if they can't afford it or are uninsured, we'll pay the difference.
I want to use the word unintended consequences.
Yes.
This is a huge
Absolutely.
part of planning.
Yes, I mean, there are really tremendous consequences, and they're not always the obvious ones. They could be simply something like a low birth weight, which can lead to health problems, poor performance in school, things that you don't immediately think of, things that have long-lasting effects. So it's better for the health of the mother, too, to have birth spacing that's further apart. It's really a win for everyone when women can plan their pregnancies.
What percentage of pregnant women have unattended pregnancies, meaning they don't have health care during the time of their pregnancy?
Oh, you mean that women that aren't seeking prenatal care?
Correct.
Well, it's a higher percentage for women that are, there's a bigger link between if somebody's not pregnant intendedly, if they didn't intend it, they're less likely to seek prenatal care. So like, for example, 10% of births in Hamilton County are low birth weight, and actually 2.5 times more African American babies die before their first birthday in Hamilton County than their white counterparts.
There are
So you have
specific
that.
reasons for that.
Right, and that's related again to low birth weights, to less prenatal care. That's not as-
The information process, too, has been slow to get out. It's not the subject matter that a lot of people want to talk about.
Right, right, and that's what I say. Like, really, our goal is to get the conversation started, educate social service providers, the women who may be using our services directly through health fairs and one-on-one conversations. Medical providers, sometimes they don't even know or think about these as methods to offer women. Once they know that cost is not a factor, then we're likely to recommend that women think about these methods, and then to fund whatever's needed and provide transportation.
What's the age range that you serve?
Yeah, any woman that is seeking these services can have the services. Typically, the women that are getting pregnant unintendedly are much more likely to be in their 20s. People think of teens immediately, but it's much more women in their 20s.
And
For
do you
people who
serve-
need more information, sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off, but I just
yeah.
got the signal.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Yes,
out of-
yes,
you know
yes.
how this works, right?
We only have a certain amount of
time.
time.
Right.
423-265-STEP, which is 7837.
Okay, and is
But
there a
423
website also?
Yes, absolutely, and we're working on that. We're totally rebuilding it, but it's a step ahead Chattanooga.org.
You know, with Nyota Cancel, you never know what she's going to do, and I never imagined her jumping off of a perfectly good high perch on a wire. That's something that will be coming up at some point here on Point of View. But for next week, we have a different kind of show planned for you. So stay with us, please.